Hi, everybody. This is Holland Martin. Thanks for joining me today. And today I have 1998 Marion High School graduate, Michael Bounds. Michael, thanks for joining us today.
Man, thank you for having me, man. Blessed. How are you?
Man, I'm doing pretty well. Let's start from the beginning. What neighborhood did you grow up in Marion, and what type of elementary school did you attend?
So I actually moved to Marion in 1990. So I was actually born in Marion. My folks moved to Oklahoma City, and then I moved back to Marion in 5th grade. So I grew up on 24th and Adams Street. So right before you go down the hill. And went to McCullough Middle School.
Okay, McCullough Bears.
I'm a Bear, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's that's kind of the start. I remember moving to Marion and being enamored with that was the year that the Giants football team went to state, played Ben Davis. So yes. I was really super and that had a lasting impact on me. I always wanted to emulate those guys. So anyway, hey, that's my genesis.
That was my senior year.
This is the thing, man. I have a college degree, and I know what I know about running a business. I learned through sports. Well, does that make sense? So, like when I'm looking at a football field, it's the same thing that I've built in my business. So you have an offense, a defense, and special teams.
Yes.
So in my business, we have offense, defense, and then I consider my marketing and operations special teams. And you have to have everything firing on all 8 cylinders, or you're dysfunctional.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So like and then down to the granular, down to like the positions, like you're the quarterback. So like you grow naturally through each position, and then the next thing you know, you're a head coach.
Yes.
But it's just because of my understanding of sports is where I've a specific defense or a specific offense. Those are systems and models. So, do you run this offense or run this? That's systems and models. So you have to understand what are the systems and models that the bigger teams are running. And then you just have to like learn it and apply it, and you do it through team building. So everybody thinks this is me, but it's not. I have a team that makes me look good. So it's all through the genesis of that is sports.
Yeah, I love that analogy.
So yeah, and to be honest with you, man, like sports drives me so much. What like the biggest regret I have from a sports perspective is we had a really good crew. Like we went undefeated 7th grade.
Yes.
Undefeated 8th grade. Come in, got beat by Carmel when I was a freshman. We were kind of out of it.
You guys went 7-3 your freshman year, and lost to Fort Wayne Norfolk in the sectional, I think 34-12 or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, and so then I came in and I actually started my sophomore year. So my freshman year, we ran a little bit. I remember that I was the guy I wasn't playing, so I didn't have. So, but we had a good like Tony Sharon, Tommy Pierce, like
beast,
dude,
Tommy was bro, good at football and baseball.
Dude, like, I mean, we just had a squad like Robbie Salamo, like
yes, Big Rob, Wisconsin.
Well, I mean, we just, bro. Yeah, so that year, actually, I think it was Tavares Rankin. That was my running back. So that was, so I think we had Melvin Sandiford. We had Pino Mitchell. We had Josh Dotson.
Yes.
Sam Tarleton, Heath Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are all big names. That's a stud team.
So my senior year, we went undefeated. Yeah. So what I'm saying is like 7th grade, we went undefeated. 8th grade, we were undefeated. 9th grade, we were freshman ball. We lost the Carmel. And so then we got kind of we got my sophomore year. We were just trying to like mesh, like we had played so well as a unit. And then when you get into the high school ball, now we're having to like meld into the structure that is. So like that was like what Stephen Simmons was. So like we were trying to mesh into that. It was LaJuan Cox.
There's a big story. LaJuan got hurt, and that was the rise of Tony Sharon.
Right. Like Tony was a beast, man. Like that
like
dude.
Herschel Walker, man, Bo Jackson.
Dude, I've never seen, the only thing that was close to it that I saw was Jason Spears. I saw both. And Jason Spears out of Logansport was a man amongst boys. That dude was insane. And Tony Sharon was cut from the same crazy dude. I swear that dude was 35 years old, just running us.
Hey, you know what, man? He was 6 foot 225. He'd run a 4.2, and he'll bulldoze you on the way to the end zone.
What's crazy was like he just had another gear. He's like a semi truck. Like he would just like downshift to another gear and just run you over. He was a man amongst boys. So you could totally tell, like my job right now is I hire people, and my job is to look for talent. And Tony Sharon was he just stood out. So I loved playing along. Like that was my senior year. So that year it was we went undefeated.
That one Snyder beat you.
And then Snyder just came in and murked us.
5-0, baby.
I mean, that still hurts the way they hurt us. Like, you know what, man? I learned so much from that year. I learned a lot. Like we had a really good crew. We had Jason Hale, we had Tommy Pierce. We had a lot of Jeswan Thomas. We had
it was a good receiver.
Anthony Harvey. So anyway, we had a squad, man. And I you know what it did, man, it taught me to be humble in my business. Like it's easy to get on top. Everybody was talking about us. We went to Kokomo, we were undefeated. We played Kokomo, they were undefeated. I think we were both ranked in the top 10. They were bringing in bleachers, and they were standing room. It was crazy. So like I just, to be honest with you, Snyder just had some force. And it taught me that you can it's easy to get on top, but you got to stay on top. You got to keep doing what got you there.
That's it.
That loss humbled me, right? So maybe I'm not as dope as I think I am. So
none of us are.
What I have to do is I rely on coaches and mentors. So have you ever heard the old adage, you hang out with 5 millionaires, you'll be the 6th? Yes. You're absolutely right. What it does is that bag rubs off on you. It's not like they literally give you money. What it is the way you think changes. So I started hanging out with some really smart people, and the way they challenge the way you think. That's mentorship. So my job, you mentioned, like my job is to say, look, I am you. I came from 24th and Adams Street. Okay. I went to McCullough. I went to McCullough, bro. Come on. I am you. I got a college degree. I'm running a business. I read 80 books a year, 80 to 90 books a year. I am you. And so my job is the model. Like this is, so like when people tell me, hey, are you afraid you're going to make someone upset by speaking your mind about certain issues? And I said, no, my responsibility is there are my nieces and my nephews and my kids are looking at me. And in this time, what did I do? Get there. It's all about it's all about modeling. My business I literally have a coach, a mentor that I read books, and I literally, there's people that have done what I want to do. So instead of like reinventing it, I just see the dopest people and I'm like, what are y'all doing? And then I just rip it off. And then
that's what I do.
Yeah, I know that's and
what
success leads clues. So like, and then I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired by Rashard. Like Rashard come in and created a whole daggone news organization.
A whole niche.
Dude.
Dang near 100,000 people.
And if that dude, if Rashard, Rashard's not that much older than me. So like I was there, right? Yeah. I've seen the growth in that brother, man. So like y'all are inspiring me. If he can create a whole news organization, I can sell some real estate, right?
Yes. And then that's it.
And it's just rooting everybody on. I'm rooting you on. I'm rooting Rashard on. Everybody I see that's like in the NFL, all them Cox or whatever, her son. I love seeing everybody. Will Whitaker, I played. So anyway, Rashad,
I'm telling you what, man, Marion has so much talent. You know what? Let's backtrack. Let's go back to the sports a little bit of the high school. Now you played under Coach Surface.
I did. Yeah, and Tom Allen. Tom Allen was my defensive coordinator my senior year.
Ben Davis, now the head coach at IU.
Dude, I'm 41 years old. I will run through a brick wall for that dude. I love that dude. I tweeted him like, oh, dude, I love that man.
So tell me some stories about Coach Surface, Coach Tom Allen, and some of those bus rides and some of those things that may happen in practice and that you may have always wanted to get out. What are some of those stories?
Man, so I remember the thing that I remember about Coach Surface, and I still carry it to this day. He was really eloquent with words, man. The story that I have about Coach Surface is I remember his speech my freshman year. That was the year with Melvin Sandiford, Tavares Rankin, Stephen Simmons, Tino Mitchner, Josh Dotson. That was my freshman year. And I remember that speech and how it made me feel and like the hairs rising. And so how important it is to set proper expectation and do passion. It's to me, I felt that way in my business. So you hit a certain, it's the same thing with sports, right? When I was playing football, right, I hit a certain level that I could just hit with my raw talent. So guess what? I learned different techniques. I learned the swim technique, the rip technique, the bull rush technique. And so then that's called systems and models. So I do that in my business. So in my business, there's only so far I can go up to my raw talent alone. And then I have to learn systems and models. And then once you have a coach, Tiger Woods has a coach, Michael Jordan has a coach. So the objective of a coach isn't to like scream and yell in your face, is to give you clarity
and structure.
To give you action steps, break down the big picture and the small blocking and tackling. We focus on the touchdowns when in our reality, we focus on the blocking and the tackling, and the touchdowns take care of themselves, right? And so us in our business, we often focus on touchdowns, but as a leader, you have to focus on the blocking and tackling and keep everybody focused on that.
I love that, Michael.
The hardest part is we've been conditioned, our educational system has been conditioned like to make us work for people, like to make us employees. And so being an entrepreneur is a shift of a mindset. And so you have to hang around a lot of folks that have that. And so the thing is like, no, I didn't get that a lot. I don't think that I think a part of this is that people couldn't tell the people that were smart and the people that And
Yeah.
so now you're seeing the
You're
clarity
seeing it,
because,
yeah.
and I
And
think that that's all the 2020 is just giving us all clarity. That's why you see Rashard. That's why I see Ruben Brewer running a
yes,
landscaping business. Like,
yes, yep.
I think
There's
the
a lot of
cream,
young Black minority entrepreneurs, even whether it be in restaurants or clothing lines, like you said, YPN with Ruben. Shout out to little Rube as well. Even Big Rube with his long hair.
I helped him buy a house. Like he's doing Big
Good
Ruben's doing his
stuff.
thing. And so like the cream is rising to the top. And we're from Marion. So to me, that gives us, you can't bully a bully.
Boom. And you see what Zebo said. Hey, Zebo told
You
DeMarcus
can't
Cousins,
bully a bully. So we're
bully a
really
bully.
tough. We're tough. Like I'm tough as nails. I'm
Yeah,
like,
hard, tough.
dude,
We
you
are
should have
tough.
seen where we come from.
Man, they don't understand. They don't understand.
I'm not going back there, bro. So like, that's what this is. Like, this is about legacy. Like, if I get hit by a bus, I want my kids to be taken care of.
Yes, yes.
And so I've never had that clarity before. So that's why I built an organization. I'm building an organization that, like, one day, if my son wants it or my daughter wants it or any of my kids, that's my story. So like, I worked in a corporate situation. I was one of the top salespeople. So you learn how to sell.
Yes.
But the hard part about this is the hard part. Okay. So like you don't really see happening to you is when I created. So when real estate, I'm a real estate agent. So a lot of times we come in with the mindset that we are a barista. So like that we are selling coffee, that we work or we sell stuff. But in all reality, when you get your real estate license, you're actually buying a Starbucks.
You're buying the whole business. You're a franchisee.
If you come in at the mindset that you are a barista, you will behave as a barista. If you come in and you realize that you just bought a Starbucks franchise, then you start behaving like a franchisee.
Yes.
So that's what
mindset.
It's a mindset. So like I run a real estate team. So I have an inside sales agent that sets appointments. I have an executive assistant, 5 buyers agents. And so you guys see, the product, you guys see the byproduct of, me having a team. And it's football.
Yeah, again.
It's football. Like football is an avatar of Marion. Like this business is an avatar of me. So like I put together, and so if I'm trying to build a Lamborghini, it's got to have Lamborghini parts in it.
Yes.
If I put a Chevy engine in it, it's not a Lamborghini. So I'm looking for talented people to bring into my organization. You can't just let anybody. So if I'm playing pickup on Valley Avenue, they still got basketball on Valley Avenue.
Man, so, they tore all that stuff down.
That's unfortunate, man. Like that's a scarcity. It's a scarcity mindset. So what they're saying is they're taking that down so that people can't collect. When it's a scarcity mindset. Like I've learned so many lessons from sports that I am now applying to business.
Life and business, yes.
And life, man. Like all this is all one thing, man. You guys, everybody thinks there's a work-life balance. There's not. It's just it's all one hot. That's the problem with my business is like even I don't want to toot my own horn. I'm really good at this. I'm way better real estate agent than I was, years ago.
Not all real estate agents are built the same.
Right. And so people just be like, oh, this is my cousin. Or I'm like, okay. Like, all right.
Businessman.
So we're crushing it, man. It's all it's all my team. So the point I was trying to make is if I'm at Valley Avenue, wherever now to play ball, if I'm watching and I see Jody McCain dunking on somebody or
Mm-hmm.
Andre Betts dunking on somebody or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then they lose, who am I picking up? I'm picking up their talent.
Yes.
And so like business is the same way, but for the longest time, I don't think people could see our talent.
Yes. Now they're starting to see it, like you said a little bit earlier. We're affording ourselves the opportunity to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps, you know. Even with
And
the
we
obstacles out there.
We have this
still
fundamental toughness because we were you can't
hardened, forged through struggles.
So what did your mother tell you when you were a young man? I'll tell you what my mom told me.
Yeah.
She said, Mike, I was probably 6, 7 years old. She said, Mike, you're gonna have to work twice as hard to get the same amount.
Yep.
So what that is we're computers, we're machines. And so that's software that has been infused into. What's crazy is anybody from my generation has heard that.
Yes.
But not everybody has heard that. And then some people heard that, and some people just went
right over their heads. But you really do have to work twice.
I heard it. You know what's crazy is that the more I started hanging around, this is all about walking and being in boldness, not being afraid. Yeah. So the more I started like walking around in these circles, I started realizing that they're no smarter than, like you said, that
different than we are.
And my intellect, like, yo, you know,
they're humans.
Yeah. So like, I think that what's happening is that's happening on both sides. So like, it's just the clarity is there. So that's a blessing, man. I see you guys and you guys inspire me. So I see what you're doing, and I see what Rashard is doing, and I see what other people in the in Marion is doing.
Marion itself is beautiful.
I'm proud. Yeah.
Now let's go to talk education a little bit. Let's talk about college. Now, what made you pick the college that you went to, and what was your major, and what were some of the things you had to adjust to in college?
I went in '98. I was getting recruited by some bigger schools. I ended up going to St. Joe and playing football. I don't know if you remember John Paul Keller.
I remember the name.
Yeah, he was an offensive lineman. So I ended up playing there. Had my son. My son was born my senior year in high school. And so I changed my mind and decided I wanted to be close. So and my mom was terminally ill, and she ended up passing away. So like, it sucks because like now looking back, I'm 41, and I was 19, you know, it just took the wind out of my sails to where, you know, I have a son. I was, you know, I had a stepfather, but I just lost my mom. So I had a lot kind of going on. So at that point in time, I ended up transferring to Ball State and just kind of fizzling out. I went back later on and got my degree from Indiana Wesleyan. But like, man, it just put everything into perspective on what was kind of important to me. And then just think about this. How many times does that happen to somebody? Like, you want to be able to focus on being a kid and being a child and focus on you. And then because of circumstances beyond your control, you just got to grow up. Like, I remember going to like Thompson and working in the factory as a supplemental. I haven't said that word in a long time.
Boy, I worked there from 92 to 2003.
Like, this is the thing, like, in my life, I wanted to be rich when I was a kid and work at RCA. That is the software that they implant.
Plug in you.
That is what is
rich means Chrysler, rich means GM, rich means RCA, but it really doesn't.
I want to own Chrysler.
Boom. That's what I was talking about earlier. I want to work there, I want to own the place. And
Because
my
this is the
degree,
thing, success leaves clues.
yes,
So
yes.
successful people aren't just successful once, they have to be success. So
Yeah.
what that means is there's systems and there's models, and all you have to do is figure out what they're doing, and it's in books.
Yes.
So I read copious amounts of books. I read 80 to 90 books. I run a real estate team, and then just being aware of what a real estate team is. So then I go to so this is the mistake that people make. They say, okay, what is your thoughts on X?
Yes.
But the problem is this: 20% of the people are doing 80% of the work.
That's the truth.
A business is nothing more than a machine, but you use people. You use people, systems, and tools in order to like do it. So that's the reason why, I go to McDonald's in Marion, and I can go to McDonald's in California. It's because it's a system. It's really a machine. Anyway, I'll geek out on entrepreneur stuff.
No, this is what people really need to hear this. Now that piques my interest. What got you into the real estate realm? What initially got you into the real estate business?
So just Marion, I'm from Marion, Sally Jinks, Janet Barnett, old school. Like I've always my mom bought a house. And so she bought a house when I was we had just moved to Marion. So I would have been like in 8th or 9th grade. And I was really proud of her.
Yes.
And it was normal. So because she did it. So then when I turned 18 and all that stuff was happening in my life, I lost my mom and I had a little kid. I was in a dorm room, paying dorm room. Instead of going and renting a place, I'm just going to go buy a house.
Go buy one and put that money into the house.
And I bought a house. I was 19.
At 19 years old. At
19 years old. My mom, I bought it. And then shortly after that, my mom died, like within a few months. I had a kid. And so doing that process, that piqued passion in me.
Yes.
So I don't know if my mother would not have bought that. Say my mom would have came to Marion and would have rented a house. Would I be where I am?
That hadn't have been planted into you for future. And now it's your career. It's your,
Would I be at RCA when I've been conditioned my whole life?
Yes.
That I want to be rich. I want to go work at RCA, right? And I think that happened to a lot of people.
It did. That's why it hurts a lot of us. I always tell people all the time, out of the 3,000 of us that worked at Thompson, probably 10,000 affected with husbands and kids and this, that, and the other. And then in the 18, 19 years since it's been shut down, you see a lot of overdoses, suicides, divorces, foreclosures, a lot of self-destructive behavior. A lot of people at Red Gold and Subaru and Huntington and Nestle, and it tore apart the fabric of Marion.
Yeah.
So on a macro and micro level.
I'm a student of history as well, like you are, right? And so like I hear about Motown.
Yes.
So I geek out on Civil War history now.
I love it too.
What's crazy is what it's done is it helped me put into context how much we haven't changed. But that's another story.
It takes one person to believe in your gift.
And you're discounting, and there has to be one person that believes, but the person that they believe in has to be pure talent.
They have to have that talent, yes.
The problem is I can believe, and I can sit in my car and believe I'm a car, and I'm not a car, right? That's part of the
that makes total sense. Because like a big person like a Oprah Winfrey can find a Dr. Phil and a Dr. Oz, and then 10 years later, you don't even think about Oprah when you think about those two guys. but that one person believed in them, and she put them into a position where they could thrive,
So that's the part that we discount.
Mm-hmm.
We discount that we need other people's help. That's what kept me locked in as an agent. And when I realized that, I'm so unhappy, I either got to get out of this business, or I got to grow. And there's only one way to grow, and that's by building a team.
Yes.
And so, like, honestly, the part of my career that I can really say it, like, my job is to fire myself. We all have our blessings, okay? Mm-hmm. And there's some things that I'm blessed at, I can do, and there's some things that I'm just not. I can do it for a short amount of time. I'm just like substitute. Like, you don't want me there full time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then you realize, okay, those things that aren't your blessing, you got to delegate, but not only delegate it to talented individuals, because what they do is they do a better job than you do.
Mm-hmm. And that kicks back on the football analogy to me, as far as, you got a big kid, 6'3", 225, but if he can't play tight end, don't put him as a tight end. Maybe he's better on the line. Maybe he's better as a defensive end.
That's why the Patriots are the Patriots, because the Patriots have systems and models. It's the best guy. It's a cog in a wheel. And then that's how you build. So that I tell people all the time is, I was there. The difference between Anthony Hardaway and Michael Jordan at both of their peaks, it wasn't that different. The difference is a Michael Jordan did it for 20 years.
Yes.
So the point that I'm trying to make is it's not good enough to get on top. You got to figure out how to stay on top if you want to be this cat right here. Right. And so success leaves clues. All you have to do is figure out what the top people are doing, mimic what they're doing. And you have to be, I'll tell you a story about TV Guide. I'm in the line and the other day, and there's a TV guide, and it's a magazine. And I remember when I was a kid, like, that's how you knew what was on TV. There was no guide on your TV, right? And now TV Guide is one of them tabloid TV guides.
Something like that.
They had to reinvent themselves, because if they would have stayed that guide, guess what? They'd be out of business.
They'd have been
obsolete. So that's what, from a business perspective, when I come in, I'm running my real estate business, then we get COVID. So then you have to pivot. So that's why people get knocked out. It's like being an entrepreneur, you're driving this big ship and you have to look around corners. So anyway.
Let's piggyback on that point. How has all the COVID and quarantine mess directly affected your real estate business?
It has. I tell people all the time, do you remember buying toilet paper in March of 2020?
You couldn't. It
was crazy. So that's what real estate. That's what real estate is like right now. So real estate up here is extremely hot. So the market is really is very competitive.
Pretty high.
So what it has done, to be honest with you, it's allowed me to get better.
Yes.
If I would have kept doing the same things that I were doing prior, I would not be having the level of success that I have. And what happens is I track everything. So I track everything, I measure everything. So then I have clarity. The hardest part about running a business is that if something happens right now, it doesn't impact you right now. It impacts you in 2 or 3 months.
Yes.
And so when you see trends and see things, it doesn't, but with COVID, that impacted right now and in the future. Because what it did was it just shut us down. So for a couple of months there was a little anxiety happening.
Yes.
But what it did is it gave me clarity. So I run systems and models. What it did was, instead of doing the same things that I was doing to grab business, I actually doubled and tripled those activities. So I had that clarity, that peace of mind to be able to kind of ramp that up. So we actually did pretty well, and we're still doing pretty well. We're growing. I think we'll end up blowing our revenue projection. And next year we're looking to double.
Even more. And that's the goal. Keep getting better, keep more sales.
Man, I got mad clarity, bro. Like it's literally a machine. So like my job is I'm actually teaching a business clinic, a business planning clinic. Okay. And so what you do is you take the really big, obnoxious goal that touchdown, right? Uh-huh. You visualize what that touchdown is, and then you break it down backwards. And then you focus on the activity. So what I do is I could geek out on you, but you do those activities every day. And if you focus on those activities, you don't have to worry about them damn touchdowns. And then you have to tell your story. That's the reason why the cream is rising to the top. Because for the longest time, the voices were muffled.
Yes.
There was no way to inject in the system, eject you into the system because you were shut out. But now we have social media.
There's voices and there's
people see it and their talent and they're like, oh man, that's a great idea. Yep. This is so now people see me. I've been doing this.
Yes. And
so that's the part. Like people think, oh man, you came out of nowhere. No, y'all didn't see me. I've been here.
Now
I don't all of a sudden just become Eminem a rapper. No, or whoever a rapper. Like he's been doing this.
Been doing it. Now you're just seeing it.
You just now seeing it. Yes.
I wouldn't even have got to the point where you can see me if I just started right now.
So the key is you have to be good at telling your story because nobody's going to tell your story. So what I did was instead of toiling in like obscurity and just doing I started and I'm really weird about like saying, look at me. I hate that. Like it kind of freaks me out.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
But if I can show love to somebody, and so by me showing that love, I'm showing the love. So then people start looking at me. That's the way I do it. So it's all about my client. So I'm throwing out, thank you for helping me, let me serve you. Coming from a service like a mindset. And the biggest thing in 2020 gave me mad clarity, man. I got saved. So I got mad clarity from and like the
changes everything.
It changes your mindset. So like when you start thinking from that perspective, it has actually made me a way doper business person.
Better man, better individual, a better human being all around, mentally, spiritually, and I bet physically as well.
Yeah, man. I'm like, it's like all it is, man, I think everybody's going crazy. And so what it's done is it's leveled the playing field. So you're able to what gave me is that same haze that you feel, everybody feels.
Yes.
But you have an ability to focus on your passion.
Yes. Push
in this tough time and push through it, which is a level of toughness, which not everybody's blessed at. So like with me, people think like I just started off it's all been a growth. So I was able to, and once you have clarity, so I talk about coaching and having mentorships. Once you have clarity, then all you have to do is walk. And so what 2020 gave me is it gave me a certain level of clarity where I could just super focus on the 20%. I keep talking about this 80-20 principle so that I can focus on the things that impact me personally, spiritually. And that all, to be honest with you, is the grace of God, man. That's not me. It just, I feel like 2020 gave me a level of clarity that I just never had before.
And once now that you have it, you will never lose it. You know
I'll never unsee
it. Yep.
And it's my job to teach it and to help give clarity. My gift is that I'm able to articulate complex situations and distill it to very simple language.
To where the layman can understand.
The analogy, the sports analogy, because what's crazy is once you see systems and models, like now that I go to a McDonald's, I know how they run that. And so once you see systems and models, you see it in everything. It's like the Matrix. I see it when I watch football. Like I'm literally, it's a business. And then so like once you see that, you can't unsee it.
You can't unsee it. Yeah, once you see
the blue or the red pill, bro. It's crazy. And so real estate was the vehicle that I learned that from. So like I can take and pull out of real estate and I could go create another business.
All kinds of avenues and branches and trees with still that still kind of same basic template of knowledge. You know what I mean? You can still use those axioms of being around the bag, letting the bag rub off on you, learning and reading and changing your mindset and having a different clarity when you're able to step back. And it's all coalesced into what you're doing as well as what I'm doing. And there's other
it's the
people.
Same thing.
Yeah, there's other people
the same
like
thing.
us.
It just manifests itself in a way to you to where you're doing this, I'm doing that, Char's doing that. So I call it geeking out. I geek out. Like Amy thinks I'm crazy that I'm just always reading these books and it's programming.
It's making it better.
It's so I don't even listen to music anymore. I listen to books and I listen to podcasts.
I don't watch TV, and that's what I do. Either if I'm making a podcast or I'm listening to a podcast. And when I'm listening to a podcast, I'm getting ideas.
You're taking nuggets.
Yep. Enunciation, emphasis, inclusion, encouragement, all those little things, put it into the podcast.
What's crazy is that what you're doing, everybody's doing. So we'll talk about this vaccine. Oh. So the vaccine, they talk about an mRNA vaccine, which is the platform. And you notice they're able to change the variant based on the variant. So the mRNA is the systems and the models. And then they're able to say, okay, I can switch this out and this. So I'm looking at the vaccine from a systems and models perspective. So when you're looking at everything like that, what's happening is there's a lot of people that are gamifying making money.
Yes. And
so once you understand the game, now you can play the game. Until you understand the game,
can't play it. You're on the outside looking in.
So like that's the level of clarity, is like success leaves clues. The people that have money always have money. Why?
Always.
Because they understand the game.
Yep, the game. And like you said, the systems.
But the problem is like the game that we've been taught, work at RCA.
You got to work for somebody. You have to be a domestic. You have to be a worker bee. And you might want to be a drone or a queen bee.
Somebody told me once, gave me mad clarity. It was Chris Rock. Shaq is rich. The dude cutting Shaq checks is wealthy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Who's cutting Shaq checks?
When people tell me,
you see what I'm saying? We aspire to be Shaq. I want to cut Shaq checks.
I mean, people say that, well, I don't think anyone's worth $100 million. I said, well, ma'am, the person that's paying him is worth $100 billion. And that usually shuts them up. They usually shut them up.
So this is the thing, man. Our priorities are messed up from a cultural perspective. So
yes. But it's the golden shiny trinkets, Michael. The golden shiny trinket. We'll go for the golden shiny trinket.
I think bigger than this. Like this is what sports is giving me. I'm gonna give a shout out to Zach, to Will Whitaker.
Yeah.
What it's done is it's a vehicle. It's a vehicle to where we could get out of our situation that we were in, and then we can learn the systems, the models from that, so that once we get to the age to where we can put everything together, because you're judging people when they're 18. Like I made crazy decisions when I was 18, right?
Yep. Same thing as me.
So now I'm 40, I'm 41, right? And so I'm able to look back.
Yes.
And like say, okay.
And reverse from the touchdown, take it back.
Yes. Me being able to go back and reverse engineer like what it is that I'm running in my business, and then just model that. So I run my business much like I run, like if I'm running a basketball team or a football team. That's it.
Let's talk about your podcast platform. When did you start that?
So I have two, so one is the Thrive Home Show. So that actually is a byproduct. I was thinking about you and Rashard. So like, I love that he created like this. I'm so like proud of that dude.
Yeah.
For what he's done, you know. Yeah. I think it's awesome.
Especially from nothing. From
so
built it,
virtually
his baby from the ground up.
Yeah. So what it's done is it's given me clarity. I was during the coronavirus. I was watching the news, and as you know, everybody was shut down. I'm watching the Today Show, and everybody's at home doing a Zoom call, and I see Rashard running this freaking huge, massive. It's crazy how big. Amy is like my wife. She's like talking about the 27 News. It blows my mind, man. But anyway,
it's beautiful.
And what gave me the idea was this. Eric Forney, I was kind of alluding to this earlier, says, Mike, he says, Mike, nobody's going to tell your story. You got to tell your story.
You got to tell it yourself.
You got to tell it yourself. You got to be famous before you get famous. Okay. So you got, like, they ain't making people that ain't famous, like, because they're not famous. You got to be famous before you're famous.
Yes. And then
anyway, that
makes total sense.
Right? Because anyway, so you can't fake it. So anyway, you got to tell your story. So I'm watching the news, and I have this moment that I'm like, the news is on a Zoom call. Like, why don't I just call my clients? So like, I have an assistant, she makes me look good. She calls past clients, and we just started calling people and connecting and doing this and chopping it up. And that's the genesis of the Thrive Home Show, is a way for me to reconnect with my clients in an organic
come first way. Did the Thrive Home podcast come first?
So the idea of the Thrive Home Show came up first. What happened was I actually, I keep bringing up Eric Forney. Eric had his own podcast called The Coffee with Closers.
Okay.
And he was kind of not getting as much traction as he needed to.
Yeah.
And then the whole George Floyd thing happened. And so on his
we haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, I can get into it. So I'll be quick. I won't be. Anyway, make a long story short, I was a guest host, and it kind of like my energy kind of like.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to ask you about vehicles. I know that you aren't you a car aficionado and vehicle car aficionado? Let's talk about that a little bit.
So yeah, I used to work at Mike Anderson Dodge. I was 19, like when I ended up out of high school, out of college, ended up at Mike Anderson Dodge, and I always had this Dodge Viper on my wall. I never really ever thought that I would ever have a chance to like sit in one. And so it inspired me to kind of do big things. So I bought my first Viper a few years. I mean, I can't remember how many years ago it was. And so I used that to fuel me for a long time. I used material things. I had there was 10 of them in the world, Dodge Viper, anodized carbon. We used to race it at the what's this thing in Marion, the airstrip attack.
Yes.
In Marion, I was in the newspaper a couple of times for that. Hellcats. I loved cars.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, man, now I've kind of got to a different stage in my career, and I don't even know that if I would. I love that I did it because I got the experience to be able to drive some really fast cars. I've raced Lamborghinis. I've seen some crazy stuff. I hung out with some really super dope people like Vegas, and all of those relationships were facilitated through that car ownership.
Yeah,
the Hellcats. But what it does is it leaves you empty because you're always chasing that. So I bought my first Viper. I bought my second Viper. I bought a Cuda. I bought a Hellcat. I had a Harley. And so when you're constantly chasing the material, for one, that's just not a good place to be from a financial perspective. But for two, it leaves you empty because you're always chasing the next thing.
Now, I just remembered, didn't you have one catch on fire or something?
I did. It went viral. So this is the thing.
What happened?
God has blessed me, bro. Like, so like when you're going through that, man, the anxiety level, man, I just spent all this money on this car. We had an engine rebuilt, and then I had it fuel injected. I had to sue them. And so I had it fuel injected. I came in, picked up the car.
Sabotaged it.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but they didn't make it right. And so if I would have done that, the thing is, I was in the car when it happened. And so I was there. And so what happened was the fuel injection lines, I have pictures and all that good stuff. The fuel injection lines were never like they wiggled loose. I'm driving in the car. And so you got this car that's got these headers. It's a race car.
Yes.
It's a race car. And then they're shooting this fuel onto these red hot headers. And guess what happens? So this is the thing, like, that was a really dark time of my life. And so on the outside, you see me push this stuff, but that is a byproduct of what I'm going through on the inside.
Yes.
So God had to blew my first marriage up because I'm really loyal. I'll stick to I'm a dog to a bone, right?
Hey, we're tough, baby.
So God has to blow stuff up for me to say, okay, God, you're not doing right. You're not doing right. I hear you. He did that with my first marriage, and he did that with them cars. So I learned my lesson.
Yes.
So what drives me is to pull people up.
Yes. Pull them up.
And guess what happens? Y'all see me because of my cars. Y'all see, like, people like, oh, this dude doing what? But guess what? Now I don't have that anymore because that's not fueling me. But guess what? Now my job is to just teach what I know, because what's crazy is it's simple. It's systems and models. And like, it's easy.
Systems and models. A lot of the things since we've been talking today, I hear some of the same phrases and analogies coming out of it. Systems and models, mindset, clarity. Those are important things that the regular person needs to affirm to themselves, and it would help eventually in whatever field that they want. It will help give them more success, more focus, more determination, more want.
You know what happens in here manifests itself on the outside. It's not the reverse.
Yep.
So we think bad things are you always know that person that all bad things always happen to them.
Yeah.
It's because bad things are going on in here. And it manifests itself on the exterior.
It's
so like
energy. I found myself
saying bad things in here. And I'm like, why am I saying that?
Yeah.
So then now
it manifests physically.
I say, when I say something bad, I realize that I'm saying it, and I stop and I say, I am happy. I am whole.
Yes.
I am healthy.
Yes, sir.
I am wealthy, and I am helpful. Anytime I stop, if I say something bad in my mind, I'll be outside and my man, and I'll be like, nope. I am. And I literally repeat that every time. So like,
that means a lot.
We are computers.
We are.
And so like, to be honest with you, if you want to know what makes a successful person be successful, it's routine.
That's it.
So
like you said, Malcolm Gladwell said, if you do things 10,000 times or 10,000 hours doing anything, you are an expert.
So it's routine. So like, the only way that you can get 10,000 of anything is to do it over and over and over and over again. So I read, say that I was reading a book and it said that I was 287% more likely to be a millionaire if I made my bed every day.
You make that bed every day.
So so I'm gonna ask you, do you make your bed every day?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, neither did I.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did was I prayed. I said, okay, God, what are you trying to tell me? So like I started making my bed every day, making my bed. 10 days later, I stopped making my bed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started praying. I'm like, okay, I want to be a millionaire. What are you trying to tell me? So why is it? Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure. Is it like a mind spirit manifestation?
No.
What is it?
This is the reason why. Because the person that makes their bed every day, they make their bed because that's what they do. It's a habit.
You make those things habit. Well, and I can totally understand that because I don't make my bed every day, but I have a habit of I have to go to the gym like every day. So
what I'm telling you is this. That's exactly the thing that will make you successful. So if a person that makes their bed, they understand habits at a fundamental level. Yeah. They get out of bed, they make their bed. The habit of being, a millionaire or whatever, it's a habit. You get up every day. I go to the gym. I do this. So if I'm more likely to have a habit of making the bed, I'm more likely to have the habit of X.
Making other things successful through habit, through repetition, through
if you can't, right. So like I might make my bed like, okay, for example, you might go in my room right now and my bed's not made physically, but I make my bed every day at work.
Every day, yes.
See what I'm saying? And then some people go to work and they don't make their bed. They
and just go in. And it shows. Yeah.
So it's an analogy. So you can substitute making that bed. So granted, that's evidence. Now I see that this person makes bed, so then they understand the benefit of habits. But as long as I apply that making the bed principle to whatever, I'm an MC. Every day I'm out practicing my craft. I'm a dentist. I'm a basketball player. I'm a football player. Whatever that is, I geek out. That's the 10,000 hour principle.
Yes.
See what I'm saying? That's
man, I feel it. I feel exactly what you're saying. And like I was saying a little earlier in the podcast, you have a talent for articulation. Like I've learned just from us talking today, there's other things I'm going to take in my own personal life now. It's about those affirmations. It's about that clarity. It's about, because I'm a cerebral person as well.
Seek clarity.
It all starts up here and it manifests through your body. The body can't do what the mind don't do. That's what I tell my client.
And this is the thing.
I don't tell it.
Everybody's anxious right now. Everybody.
We are. It's
so like
such a tense time.
If you have clarity, you're able, now's the time where you can get ahead.
Yes.
Because everything that you're going through right now, everything you're going through right now, everybody's going through right now.
But the deal breaker could be, like you said, that mental sharpness, that mental clarity to get you just a little.
You want to know what carries me through? This is the thing. Like people think it's routine. So like the only thing that carries me through is every day I get up and I make my bed. So then guess what that does? Is I have the same exact results time in, time out. You want to be on top, figure out the routine of a top producer, mimic that routine, and then do it every day. And if you do it, you'll have consistency. Like the top producing people, the people that own all the businesses, they own the businesses for 20, 30 years. Why? It's because they're following a system and a model. If I walk into a McDonald's and I walk out with a Whopper, you would be like,
what's going on?
What's going on? But in our lives, we run our lives that way.
Are there any negative things in the business, physically, as far as things like that?
So I love that question, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the thing: when you get mental fatigue, so I burned out.
Mm-hmm.
So I burned out bad, like bad. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like I mentioned earlier about the cars and like trying to chase something.
Yes.
So all that does is it leads you to burnout.
Mm-hmm.
So what burnout is you're tying to your like it's lack of clarity.
Mm-hmm. Is it anxiety? Is it
Anxiety. So like
internal?
a lack of clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you got to figure out what your why is. So I mentioned I would tell
Yes.
you about my niece. She's my daughter, right? So I have my niece is the eighth. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I got her. She was 7 weeks old, and he had no business with a newborn baby.
That,
So
yes.
we started all over again, man. We hadn't planned for it. I was building my business.
That's what presented itself.
She was an
Had to do it.
absolute blessing, bro. Like people
Mhm.
are like, da 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 da. Like I was, I giving me credit when all reality was all God. God brought her to us. She was an absolute blessing. He came to us in the time that I needed her
Needed
most.
the perfect timing.
She was my why that pulled
Mhm.
me through one of the darkest times, and she was able to give me this focus.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
If it
So
wasn't for that focus, things could have been much different.
it could have turned out a totally different way because I was focusing on like the material, when in
Yes.
all reality,
It's not
that
about
stuff rusts away, man. Like that stuff doesn't mean anything.
gold and shiny
Like if
trim.
God were to bless me with the resources in order to kind of do all that stuff again,
Mhm.
I would not
Wouldn't do
I
it.
wouldn't do it.
Wouldn't
No, I
spend
would.
all the money on those cars, and it
Yeah,
doesn't mean,
yeah.
like you said, in the end, it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. So like she gave having a big why. So like you mentioned, like having a big why is gonna give you the willpower.
Mhm.
Okay. So but there's two parts. There's the drive. So like you rely on your willpower is finite. It goes
Mhm.
away. Like you
Yes.
notice at night, I'll make these chocolate chip cookies that I'm Toll
Mhm.
House because my willpower is lowest in the evening because I'm
Yep.
tired, right?
Mhm.
That's not a good time for me to go to the gym. So
Mhm.
what I do is I use routine. That makes the mental stress because
Mhm.
every day that's what I do.
Yes.
And then on the days that I can't do it because something's happened in my life
Mhm.
that allows me to where I can't do the activities,
Yes.
that's when I rely on willpower that time because
Okay.
now I'm like, you know what? And then the next day, I'm back to my routine. So then I
Mhm.
have a consistent business. The problem is we walking around here relying on our willpower. And then after a
Yes.
week, you ain't making your bed.
Boom. Man, you got it, bro. You need to write a book.
Bro.
You need to write a book on all the stuff that we just talked about.
That's it,
Because
man. Like
your principles are golden. You can follow those principles and become a successful business person in whatever genre you want. Like, yeah, yeah.
it's
I
like
mean, the light bulbs
that
clicked for me.
it's that virus what I was telling you earlier. That's the
Mhm.
platform. And so
Mhm.
they're able, that's why music, they know, okay, they know what's a banger and what hits. And then they literally create the same, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is the sound. This is the beat.
Yes.
Then we just got to plug in and literally everything is the same. You just got to figure out what your jam is and then figure out the game.
Yes, yes, yes. What I tell
So
people, the game we was playing in the 80s and 90s, we still have that same mindset, but it's a different game. It's the same game, but a different game. That's what I say. It's the same game from the past, but it's a different game that we're playing now.
So this is the thing. Like nobody had scaled Mount Everest.
Mm-hmm.
And so like for like years.
Mm-hmm.
And then once somebody was able to scale the top, they went back and said, look, this is how I did it. And guess what?
Much
2
easier.
years later, somebody scaled to
Trailblazers.
the top. They
Yep.
gave them the blueprint.
Yep. The trailblazer that gives you the blueprint to make
They
it
give,
easier for those after us.
that's it. So
That's
then
it.
that's it. So like all you have to do is like, okay, study. That's why it's important for you to study the people to come before you. The problem is up until this point, nobody looked like me.
To give
Everybody
you that,
looked like
yes.
me. The model that I would study and emulate was go work for Thompson.
Yeah, Thompson and
RCA.
all that.
So like my job now is I want you to know that I am you.
yes.
And so like, if you want to be a business person, all you have to do is emulate the people that you see around
my
you.
template, follow my template within your own, wheelhouse.
Actually, to be honest with you, it's to learn the model, master the model,
Master the model.
apply your whatever your jam is. So like
master
I could
the model
literally,
and then apply it.
the hard part is either people don't realize that there's a model, so they just come in and do whatever, and it's a disaster. Or they learn them, or rarely do they learn the model and then they don't take action. So like, I'm really like, take action.
Yes.
And so a lot of people don't want to take action. So it's either they run their McDonald's like any kind of business, or they just don't take action. So anyway.
Have you thought about public speaking? Seminars and maybe different things like that, convocations, conventions.
I feel like God will bless me, like God will use me however so this is the thing, you have to be super focused on mastering your craft. The problem is you get distracted because what happens is you see that everything's the same. And so I can chase this and I can chase that and I can chase this, and it dilutes you. So like the biggest thing is this, is like, people worry about, I had this guy come up to me, okay? He had his car payment and he was like, oh, for my brand, I gotta have this car payment. I gotta have this car. No, that's not. If you go in with your lunch pail and you go to work every day, your brand takes care of itself. It's he's focusing on these touchdowns when I'm focusing on the activities. And guess what? My brand is going to be taking care of itself. I don't have to worry about my brand. So I don't even talk about my brand, because you know why? That's not for me to determine. That's for everybody else to determine about me. So I just focus on, like Coach Surface used to say, just bringing my lunch pail to work.
Bring my lunch pail. Just
bringing my lunch pail. Because you know what? You don't hear me talk about how much I'm doing and what I'm doing, because guess what? I'm supposed to do this. I'm built for this. And so awesome. Like when you take it from a perspective of I'm going in the, hey, I checked in at RCA and I did the little time clock. Was you celebrating then?
Heck no. Hey, I said, hey, some little plastic things. When you
go through the little plastic gate, go through the gate. Yo, I wasn't celebrating then. Why? Because I was going to work.
Yes.
I'm going to work. That's what I'm doing. I'm not celebrating to do what I'm supposed to do.
Man. So is there anything that you'd like to add personally to the people? Is there any messages? Well, you've given a lot of messages so far, but is there anything that you've been thinking of since we've been talking that you want to get out to the people? And we want to get your contact information too, as far as your realtor info, and also your podcast information again too in closing.
I wanna come to Marion. So I've been like, this is kind of the cat out the bag. I'm doing a little bit of business in Marion. I'm in Indianapolis right now. I'm actually running two businesses. I run a Keller Williams Market Center. I'm the CEO and team leader of the Market Center. So I have 110 agents that I oversee in Indianapolis. And then I also run a real estate team, which is Thrive Real Estate Company. So Keller, shout out to Keller Williams, Indy Metro West. They took a shot on me. They didn't know. And they saw how I ran my real estate team, and they were like, dude, you know what you're doing. And they were like, I want you to run my market center. So
Mhm.
I'm running their market center. And then I also have a team. Shout out to the Thrive Real Estate crew. They make me look
Win
good. It's
situation.
not me. Yeah. I'm able to, like, this is the thing. It's like a machine. So like eventually when you run a business,
Mhm.
I worked for Mike Anderson Dodge. Rest in peace. Mike Anderson is gone.
Yes.
What happened is that he is gone and he's
Mhm.
still selling vehicles.
Yes.
We still talk about Disney.
That legacy, and Disney's been gone a
It's
long time.
legacy. So I'm
That-
super infatuated, like what happens when I'm gone.
yes, yes. Like we
Like,
talked about earlier, leaving it to our kids and grandkids, and having that equity that'll pay itself over and over again, hundreds of years after we're gone.
so find people. You want to do something, find the people, not just any old body, find the top
Mhm.
who did it on the highest level,
Yes.
and then just start hanging out with them. To be honest with you, that's what happened to me. I just started hanging out with people that do stuff on a big level, and then I'm like, that's what they're doing.
That's what
You're
it
just
is.
as big of a hot mess as I am.
You know, we're going to have to start. We'll shut it down a little bit. But what I want, Michael, is for you to give the people out there your realtor information, that where they can contact you if they have any questions or
All right.
any property or anything, and your the names of your podcasts again, and where can we find those online?
Got it. So I'm on the Disruptance podcast. That is a entrepreneurial podcast. It's rooted in real estate, but the principles apply to business.
Yes.
So if you want to learn the platform, the systems, the models around creating a big business, follow me on the Disruptance podcast. Also, I have the Thrive Home Show. The Thrive Home Show is a podcast where I'm just throwing shine up to my favorite clients. I'm getting everybody on and they're telling their stories on what they had to go through in order to buy a house that's getting lost. So they're telling their stories and how it's impacted their lives. Super excited about that. You can call me at 317-601-0012. That is my cell. And then you can always email me at Michael at gothrivehomes.com anytime. And anytime. Thank you for having me on, man. God bless.
Oh, yes, man.
Thank you. I want to keep going.
But this is what I'd like for us to do, Michael, is I'd like to maybe come on to some of your platforms and maybe talk with you about some different things.
Yeah, I have my assistant reach out to you, man. I'll have you on the Thrive Home Show and show you some love. That's the thing. I have a platform. If there's any way that I can uplift anybody, that is what my I believe my purpose and my mission is in this world, is to uplift people that are invisible.
Yes, I look forward to coming on your platform here in the next couple of weeks when things free up.
No, I'm gonna have a reach out. I'll send a message up, man. Thank you for having me on, man. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you for coming, and thank you for blessing us with all this knowledge. Like, you have really laid some gems that can start some people on the path to success.
Follow my podcast. Follow it, bro. It's timeless, man. It's classic. So
I'm going to follow all your social medias and things, and I implore all the people that are listening to us as well to follow Marion native Michael Bounds. And from what I hear, coming back home.
You know what? It's not about how, it's about who. So like, I'm looking for talented people in Marion. So like, if you know of anybody like this, what's so great about systems and models is like, once you learn them, I can teach them. So like, if you know a real estate agent in the Marion area or Grant County area that is perhaps struggling and they want to understand like the blocking and tackling and the fundamentals that need to be lined up, I'm looking to partner with a couple of agents in Grant County and build what it is that I'm building. It's all mathematics. So once I give you that clarity, all you have to do at that point is walk. And if you walk, you should get the same results. So that's I'm looking to partner. So if anybody is listening, would love to partner with me, I'm actually putting in the foundational models for Grant County. So it's all about partnering with the right person.
Boom. Well, there you have it, folks. We're going to wrap this up with A Marion native, 1998 Marion High School graduate, Michael Bounds. He's doing very big things in the real estate realm and the podcast realm. And we just want to keep supporting you and what you do. And I hope to be with you a little bit later on your platform.
You're going to, bro.
We'll continue to give these gems out to the people. Thank you so much, Michael. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank
we
you.
We will contact each other real soon, brother.
I'm gonna put you on my notes right now.
Okay. Thanks everybody for watching us. Like, comment, subscribe to both of our platforms and channels, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.